Gage Hoffman, Matt Christensen, English 101, Composition 1, 14 October 2016. Battlefield vs. Call of Duty, a juxtaposition of virtual warfare. Battlefield and Call of Duty are two different brands with similar content, much like comparing Coke to Pepsi or Android to iPhone. From 2005 to 2016, DICE, the publisher of Battlefield, has created 13 Battlefield games, and are soon to release the 14th, respectively named because it's based on World War I. Activision, the publisher of Call of Duty, do not find themselves far behind, only raging at 12 games that have been releasing annually. Their next game is going to be Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which seems to be getting much more hate than like. Regardless of the number of games they have both created, they have always been in competition and will continue to be that way, both of which share similarities that are uncanny and possess differences that cause gamers to pick and choose their favorite simulation. Hopefully, after thorough explanation, you may grow a greater understanding between the two comparable warfare replicas. The first juxtaposition to be mentioned is their campaigns. Both games have always had an expansive story meant to show off how incredible their graphics are, but occasionally it will also have a truly brilliant narrative on the real troubles or complications of warfare. We'll start with Battlefield. Battlefield games have not usually made games intended to tell a massive story, but rather to show the hardships of real warfare or to make the player feel. Battlefield 4 portrays this very well. For example, in one of the many missions, an incredibly realistic monsoon is occurring in Singapore, and your weapon quivers to indicate you're being cold. This aspect was very real and became a legitimate detriment to the mission. It created an illusion so strong, many players said the mission actually left them chilled to the point of discomfort. Creating a feeling like that is not an easy task. Call of Duty Ghosts, though being a game of high disregard, also created a feeling of discomfort, though their method was more common. Throughout their game, you are allowed a large weapon arsenal that you start with, and you can pick up guns and weapons you see fit as you fight across a war zone. Though in a mission, a cunning trick was used. They took away the weapons, placed the player in a jungle, and left the player with just a pistol, a knife, and a flashlight. This put the gamer on high alert, and they would focus on everything, thusly making everything terrifying and unsettling. Both of these games have excellent, but recurring, ways of keeping a story alive. Sometimes, keeping a reader, watcher, or in this case, player, into the medium that they are experiencing can be difficult. But Battlefield has a gambit that retains audience with ease. This ploy is particularly classified the flashback. In Battlefield 3, the game begins with Blackburn, your character, running across the street to get to a train and fight somebody in particular. This is also the end of the game, though DICE put this scene here to leave the viewer wondering why he's so passionate about running across trains or something. Even after this introduction, your character is then sitting in an interview trying to figure out why he betrayed his own squad. You then play through what Blackburn's story is to the interrogator, and eventually reach the end where you run on a train to fight off a big bad guy. This isn't the only usage of flashback in their saga of games. Battlefield 4 begins the very first mission with no context, just you, your squad, underwater in an overturned crisis situation in which you need to act fast.
Are you conscious? Get back in the game, man. Stay with me. Pack up and move this seat, man. We're still sinking. Get you out of here, dog. You hear me? How, man? The doors are stuck shut. This wasn't how it's supposed to happen, Irish. Tracker, take my gun. The first week of your gun. For the wolf to survive, it's gotta chew off its own leg. Fire! Negative, don't do it! Now, Wrecker, shoot out the window. That's an order! Don't you do it, Wrecker! Save yourselves. Get out of here. Get out
And just as you shoot out of the car window, it shows that it was all fate that is destined upon you in less than 14 minutes, an astounding way to introduce a new Battlefield game. Call of Duty has their own ways of retaining attention, which is a method simply called betrayal, a more obvious title of course. It is actually incredible how common this tactic is used in the storytelling aspect of Call of Duty.
That was no message. This is a message.
This is a time for heroes, a time for legends.
In Modern Warfare 2, your General, Shepard, or General Shepard for long, has been known to leave all players breathless and distraught with his actions. He was one of the most unexpected villains because of his prestigious military position and his popularity and position and stern leadership ability, and seriously, how does a general of the United States military betray you? What he does is unlikely in the real world, to say the least. But this is literature. Shepard can do whatever he wants, even make you go into a house to secure some intel, begin to boot up a computer and abduct its data for about 10 backbreaking minutes while being bombarded with a barrage of bullets. You must embezzle belongings of combatants because blundering is bound in this vagabondage. You then bear the brummagem you bamboozled from the bandits and make a break for the buffer zone, or at least what you believe is a bastion. But horribly, General Shepard bursts a blow to finding him as bestial and begins to say goodbye as both you and your best buddy burn in a blaze of bitter heartbreak. Basically, Shepard is a son of a... But most people love Call of Duty anyways, because it makes them feel. An astronomically more popular aspect of these forms of entertainment would be multiplayer, competitive and collaborative fights for supremacy with an online connection. Player versus player, for short. PvP for even shorter. Call of Duty was a birthplace of multiplayer for many people, and it seems to get more and more competitive over the years. Around 2008, when Call of Duty 6, or Modern Warfare 2, came out, COD fans began finding more and more creative ways to have fun in the game. Clans were formed, FaZe, Optic, Prophecy, and many other groups all thought together, how do we kill people so that people want to be us? Groups like these were far from uncommon. These people do not always play for fun. In fact, most of the time they play to get a clip to put into a montage on YouTube.
I am literally in the air right now, wrapping up a stewardess. First class, I am so new at this. Used to ride a metro, let us hit us retro. Like the infrareds on my feet, baby, let's go. Send out what they know me by.
When Call of Duty was rising to become a massively competitive, fast-paced pastime, Battlefield Bad Company 2 was proving to be revolutionary. DICE had always been prone to creating good-looking massive environments to simulate wars or battles. The name of the game isn't labeled SHOOTY people for a reason. Bad Company 2 was such an incredible example of DICE's potential for gargantuan war zones because this game was an emulator of war that is to be admired. Even today, people play and marvel at it. Much like if you are to drill a hole into a coin, both sides have similar low points in games. Call of Duty has had more than a couple of bad years, starting on Call of Duty Ghosts. For some reason, the entire demographic saw it as a terrible game. Granted, Treyarch probably didn't know that guns don't work in space. Furthermore, the game was boring. It was terrible, it was awful, it was poo-poo. There are many reasons that can explain why this game was terrible, and the list appears almost unlimited. As much fun as it would reward players who stood in one spot, something COD players hated so much. Everything looked dull, weapons purchased with actual money were overpowered, a genuinely stupid amount of perks, and maps were annoyingly big, making the activity extremely slow. We hate this, said the world. Shh. Quiet world, for you know not what you initiate. After Ghosts, Treyarch had released a game called Advanced Warfare, and a lot of people encouraged it, but a lot more people encouraged not encouraging it. Here's a bit of gameplay if you're curious as to why it's so royally disliked. Everything is so fast! We cannot pay attention, it is just silly how much you need to move to even compete with your opponent. On top of all of that, they introduced something called supply drops, in which you purchase with real money to get a chance to get a good gun. But this gun would overpower all the opposition, so if you didn't have money, you didn't have a chance. So here's a brief synopsis on why this creation is so unliked. 1, it's fast, 2, it's pay to win. Battlefield has not had many disliked games, but in the most recent Battlefield title, DICE thought it would be a fun idea to make a game about cops and robbers, respectively labeled Battlefield Hardline. So the fans of DICE went to play this game and promptly hated it. That is garbage, they said. This is garbage. DICE did not want this idea to be bad. They knew for certain it was going to be wonderful. Keep playing our game, they exclaimed. No, said the players. What if we release new weird stuff, said DICE. Okay, so DICE then composed many updates that granted frivolous weapons that would never be used in real warfare at all, such as a World War I light machine gun, an improvised pistol, dual-wielding submachine guns, a triple-barreled shotgun, and even a sword. Because when you have no audience, you must do something strange to make people notice you. You would probably assume that with, 13 or 14 massive successful games created, you learn a thing or two about psychology and what appeals to a greater demographic. DICE seems to be expert in the art of listening, while Treyarch are quite simply not so great at it. Let's do a test to find out which category of the two you fit into. So if a large group of people are saying, make the next game have more customization, do you add more customizations? Vote now on your phones. Time's up. If you chose yes, congratulations, you are DICE. Now let's do a case study of something that actually happened. If your entire audience is saying, make the next game less futuristic, do you make the next game so far into the future that it scares your audience? No, Treyarch. No, you do not. DICE, what do you have?
Come on, then! Move forward! Get ready, man! Get down!
Yeah, that'll do. From Sony to Nintendo, Marvel to DC, Walmart to Target, or McDonald's to Burger King, even video games can have marketing rivalries. Call of Duty will always have their astounding storytelling and fast-paced games, and Battlefield will have their realism and colossal multiplayer fights. From map to map, story to story, beginning to end, adventure to glory, gaming is and will always be about the game. Which would you choose?